Theme 11.
Growing up 1. 1. Adolescence. Adolescence. Example.
My adolescence was spent during German occupation of France.
In my own adolescence, I went to extreme lengths to try to be straight.
2. Adulthood. Adulthood. Example.
As you grow during childhood and age during adulthood, your personal identity changes slowly.
But the young people participating in these two institutions, conveying us to adulthood.
3. Bond. Bond. Example.
And you remember that there's no free rotation around a double bond.
Oxygen, the hydrogens, each sharing an electron with oxygen in what we call a covalent bond.
4. Brotherhood. Brotherhood. Example.
Some may become political parties like the Muslim Brotherhood, and some may be openly armed groups like the Taliban.
Brotherhood has nothing to do with how you feel about the other person.
5. Character. Character. Example.
Only good characters wear mustaches, and the more white around the eyes, the worse the character.
And that is, they have come to the realization that the single most important thing kids need to learn is character.
6. Childhood. Childhood. Example.
But I relented because it seemed like an interesting possibility, and also I'm a total cartoon junkie since childhood.
Childhood mortality has come down a factor of 10.
7. Upbringing. Upbringing. Example.
But despite their move inland, the amniotes have not abandoned their pond-dwelling upbringing.
Enlist the children in their own upbringing.
8. Connection. Connection. Example.
Which is, you have to absolutely do that for connection.
When we connect together in these connection spaces.
9. Fatherhood. Fatherhood. Example.
I think children had ensnared me the moment I connected fatherhood with loss.
All right, I want to tell you how I got my superpowers through fatherhood.
10. Instinct. Instinct. Example.
But if we're doing our job right, and you've checked the jargon at the front door, trust your instinct.
What did I start with? One basic instinct remains. We're animals. We need our moms.
11. Interaction. Interaction. Example.
And the object itself invited exploration, interaction, consideration, and touch.
It doesn't allow the cross-fertilization, the interaction that make cities great places and that make society thrive.
12. Motherhood. Motherhood. Example.
Randomly separated the monkey from the mother and reared her with a nurse in a surrogate motherhood conditions.
So if we're going to change the way our culture understands this transition to motherhood, women need to be talking to each other, not just me.
13. Baby. Baby. Example.
And from that point, I learned how to pull the mic away and attack the poetry with my body.
You might see like the picture that you showed earlier of that baby.
14. Tarrant. Tarrant.
You can
Example.
approach a school administrator, a parent, or the Office of Civil Rights.
If you're in care, legally the government is your parent, loco parentis.
15. Grandparent.
But
Grandparent.
I'm using plates and mugs and cutlery that was my grandparents.
But when the Sillett family visited their grandparents' cabin near Gettysburg, their grandmother, Helen Poe Sillett,
16. Roll. Roll.
They
Example.
will introduce the aurochs to do its old job, its old ecological role.
Because the environment plays a very important role on modifying the composition of that plant.
17. Resemblance. Resemblance. Example.
Obviously, you see the resemblance. And this routine went on for some time.
They even arrived at answers, such as myths, that dominated their lives, yet bore almost no resemblance to the truth.
18.
Now
Rivalry. Rivalry.
has to be replaced
Example.
by social capital.
Can connectivity overcome the patterns of rivalry among the great powers of the Far East?
Well, you could have friendship
Sibling.
relationships,
Sibling.
sibling relationships,
Example.
spousal relationships, co-worker relationships, neighbor relationships, and the like.
Which is pretty typical for siblings. In a sibling society, there's lots of things.
One of the possibilities on the table
20.
for whatever causes those
Life.
streaks is microbial life.
Example.
But there's another question to consider that is at least equally daunting. What is life?